when you say they're relating them, is it a comparison of 3 different things?
Well, there's 3 different stories.
They take 2 of them, I think, and compare them.
Right.
So it is a,
Because it looks just
A
like
parent
last
too.
year's.
It does.
Right, it's the expository, the play, drama.
okay,
And then 2 points.
2 points.
okay.
Yeah, so it's a fairly long test.
It is.
I think that'll be good for them though.
It includes
Yeah,
all
well,
of that.
I think it's good to test for stamina and
Yeah.
see where they are. And I know that I'm really gonna have them, I think I'm gonna have them write the start time.
Yeah.
And the stop time,
That's a good idea.
so I can gauge how long is it taking them.
That's a good idea, too.
So, and really making sure, be really picky about them showing me how they did use their text evidence to
Also,
support their answers.
I do recall last year we had issues with text features. And so with some of the tables, some of the.
I think some of the questions were brought straight from text features. And
Right, and
Right.
it was so evident where you can get it off, but some of the kids actually had issues. So,
reading it.
right, so there's something we need to.
That
Yeah.
one looks a little different.
It was similar to last year's.
Yeah, that's the hot dog one,
Hot
like
dog
the
with the
history of the
history,
hot dog.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we have the box turtle, the Bunker Hill.
Which I think the
The
hardest one in that one was the
play.
box turtle.
I
For
agree.
some reason, the kids really had a hard time understanding, and that's a fiction story, isn't it? Or is that a play?
It's a play.
Or
No,
drama?
I'm sorry, it's a poem.
A poem. Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, last year it was a story.
Yeah, I-
Well,
The
it
box
has 2
turtle.
columns.
Oh,
The box turtle does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the,
It looks like,
oh, there it
oh, she found it.
is. So they're going to.
For some reason, the
Yeah.
kids had a really hard time with that one.
I agree,
And they
did.
missed a lot of the
Long
questions on that one.
So,
Yes, yeah. And I don't know why, because it's talking about, I think there's a lot of stuff going on in there, and there's several characters, and I think the kids have a really hard time interpreting, like, what information is coming from what character. And
How many different things are in that test? How many different stories? 3?
4
4.
different
There's
things.
4.
Mhm.
Is
What
that
are-
the last one?
Yes.
That's one. I would almost
That's
bet
what
you
I
that's
was
one.
thinking.
And I agree.
It has to do with, because at that point, they still, no matter what you tell them about, go through there, pick one, start with that one. They start at the beginning and they go to the end. If that's their last one,
Well,
maybe we need to work with starting
It's
from
not
back
the
and
last
go,
one.
That's-
just changing
It's
it
not
up
the last
because
one.
it's next to last.
the
Next to
last year that I
is
gave
the
it,
poem
we
right
worked
before it.
on making sure we
The poem
started
is the
with
most
that one.
challenging one I had.
I had, my class
Last
had
year.
issues with
what's the
that.
poem?
What?
Box turtle.
It's the box turtle that goes along with, are they,
I think they're
What's the name of the
comparing
poem?
the
They're both box turtle?
box turtle and the other one, what's it called?
I
I Am the
play-
Book.
Yes.
So.
oh, I am the book.
So, I believe they're comparing.
They need to start with that.
And I'm gonna go through and look at it closer.
See, I didn't
think
think
it
that
has to
I
do
am the
with
book was too hard, but I thought that box turtle one was pretty hard.
I'm
And
gonna go,
Vanessa, are you using any other stories to introduce the concept, not to introduce, but to review the concepts at this point? Because I also see that the writing can be used as well for, that comparison.
Yeah. Are you guys using any other?
Well, we use our read aloud as a start for any.
oh, where we get our
code.
stories. And I'm using a lot of the comprehension toolkit,
Right.
because the articles are pretty short, and it allows me that 15 to 20 minutes to get through,
Yeah.
and they're high interest, so, and they're nonfiction.
And I can't figure out what makes that box turtle one so hard, because it's been a few years now. And that always seems to be the one that's really difficult for the kiddos. Always.
What do they miss on it the most?
What kind of questions are
Yeah, that
on
would be the tip,
those?
to look at the questions and analyze them.
And that's what I plan on doing, going through and really looking, and
Yeah.
what are they really asking?
Yeah.
What is it they're
Okay,
exactly
so-
wanting to compare?
Yeah, in the
Right.
story, one of the character finds a turtle. And kind of gives the story of the turtle. They name it. They go through, name it. They kind of infer like why they're naming it because of its colors. I know there's an aunt and some cousins in here.
What are the questions? Read the questions, so
Okay.
let's see what they're difficult.
So the first one is which word best describes red? Okay, and the words are, and these were pretty difficult words. So one is calm, humorous, lazy, and proud. I think most of my kids had a hard time with the word humorous. I think they know what humor is, but then they add that humorous, and it's
So we're
just,
producing
And
it.
that goes back
Yeah.
to the root.
Right.
Yeah.
Greek roots and all that.
What
Yeah.
is it?
That is
Suffix.
two-
Suffix
That's
as
two
well.
great minds think alike, right?
the second one is why does Red not want to admit that Halloween is a good name for the turtle? So inferencing, because it says in here they do mention Red wouldn't admit that Halloween was a good name, but it doesn't. I mean, they're gonna have to infer why it's not a good name. Why does Red name the turtle Paint?
Well, it's all figure 19.
Yeah.
Why does Trellis do? What does Trellis do to suggest she is bossy? So inferencing.
Character again. Yeah.
How is Uncle Herman's opinion of the turtle different from Red's? So I think this is looking at several different characters in their
Character,
yeah.
character analysis
It's
all
critical,
the way.
Yeah.
I think.
All the
Right,
way.
so
It really is.
because I think they're having to go back and look at the story and really determine, like, let me go find Uncle Herman's spot and read. I think it's getting them to reread because they want to just look for that and then read from where it says Uncle Herman and just read on and then go back and try to guess. And then the last one is what helps the reader to know that this story is realistic fiction?
Yeah.
So,
Reader.
So recording for
and some of these are kind of, like they can get rid of some of them. Like Dee said, there are stanzas and lines. So we can teach the kids, okay, well, stanzas and lines go with the poem, and this is obviously not a poem. I'm going to get rid of that one. The story has fantasy and magical elements. Well, there's no fantasy or magic, so they're going to get rid of those. This one, they shouldn't get this one wrong, because then B is informational facts and explored through the text, and the characters and settings are believable. So hopefully if they know, like, the genres of what is realistic fiction.
You know what else I would do right there too? I would put all those different genres in front of them and analyze them. That way they can see
Yeah.
all of blends.
I think it's just, I think also it's, because I know they've gone over, analyzing different types of text in second, third, and, throughout. And that question actually was on the fourth grade STAR test. The exact same question, and I thought it was completely simple, but you're walking around and you can see that they're having a hard time with, and I think it's because we don't ask them that question. As simple as a question is, we say, how do you know it's a biography? How do you know it's,
Right.
and just, if we just ask them those types of questions, when they get there, they'll be familiar with that
Yeah.
verbiage.
But at the same time, you have to think about put in front of them that vocabulary so they will be able to defend their point of view.
Yeah.
Whatever they're saying, these, well, I have something to relate on, and I know that this is different because it has this and this, and identifying those characteristics as
Yeah,
well.
because I think we go over it at the beginning of the year. We start off with all the different genres, and I don't think we ever go back to it like
And
this.
connect it.
Could you put it in a center activity and have like
Probably.
different
With
names?
different
So
titles
that
or
they're-
different-
Exactly.
And what makes them-
That's a great
And
idea.
have a writing piece where
Yeah,
they can write
right,
Exactly.
why do
their,
that?
Mhm.
their reason.
Like the different characteristics.
There's actually a great mini lesson in the comprehension toolkit
Yes,
under
I was
record
impressed
important ideas. And so it goes through the modeling
yes.
component.
Mhm.
And so something that Gina and I are going to fall back and use to reinforce that teak.
Even for character analysis, Hector, there's one story there that is pretty good too. Because the character analysis is big on that, so the kids, they
Right.
have to pretty much dissect all the information and really dig into the characters.
Thank you.
So you guys we're planning weeks 2 and 3.
So you said there was another one,
Character analysis.
character analysis, is that in this one?
Cause I remember I saw something with character analysis.
And
Because next week it's all about, well, week 2 for you guys, it's compare an original text to its dramatic adaptation by comparing and contrasting theme, setting, and characters and plot. Discuss similarities and differences between characters, events, settings within the same drama. So this can be, it's not necessarily a drama, but it's comparing all the characters. And then the last one is discuss the relationships between settings or events, characters, conflict, plot, theme within the same drama.
That's a good one.
I have a great resource for that, using fictions for that TEAG. It's a read aloud book,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll share that with you guys.
We did.
I'll share that with you guys.
I know there's a lot of good, there's some dramas that are in some, like the read aloud anthology, like there's some of the Abraham Lincoln ones are pretty good. And there's actually a story, let me look and see if I can find it, I might have it printed. It's a story that compares the drama, but they have the same characters in each one. So Abraham Lincoln is mentioned, as well as, I think it's Mr. something, and it's about when Abraham Lincoln was young, but it's a story and you can compare it to the drama. But they have the same character, but they're like different point of views, but they are mentioned in the same one.
And where is that resource at?
So the drama is in,
Do you remember?
They're both in the read aloud.
they're both in the read aloud. It's the anthology poetry read aloud for,
And the other character is the one that gives him books, right?
yes. And Abraham Lincoln, I think it gets all wet. It gets wet and there's a problem and, yeah. Well, he leaves it under and the roof leaks or something, and so Abraham Lincoln has to go and confess that he ruined this man's
Yes.
book. And he was kind of upset, but it's kind of like doing the right thing, and it's a lot of inferring, and so it's pretty good. Any other questions on your all's
Yeah.
reading?
That's definitely something you need to go over. We need to go over.
It's all drama next week. Drama.
Drama in 5th grade, can't
I know.
imagine.
I thought that as I was doing our
Yep.
agenda when I wrote drama.
Can they create
Let's
their
make
own
some
drama?
real
Yeah.
Oh yes, our 5th graders are good.
With the epilogue and the prologue.
Starts with
Yeah.
Yes. I think they should. I think if they start having drama, you say, make that into a play with an epilogue and a prologue and kids,
Uh-huh.
antagonist and protagonist. Man, that's
Yeah,
so
hey,
that.
record
And
it.
they're like, never mind,
Short
we'll
video.
get along.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
And a director.
That'll be a novella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A novella.
Or Corey if you're in England.
Yeah.
Before we go into math, can I just ask a quick question about science? Since we spent all that time planning
Uh-huh.
out science, I finally found the thing in I couldn't find our long range plans with all
Yeah,
of it on
it
there,
was
but
kind of
now
hard to find.
it's not in our other folder. On the science district assessment test, the one that we have to take, you said it's
This week.
The 11th.
okay, it's next Wednesday,
Yes.
not this one. Okay, I was like, I was
But
a
you
little
need to
freaked
make
out. Okay, so it's
sure
next Wednesday, the 11th.
But you don't have
Yes.
map testing that day.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
and
I'll
here's
work
the thing.
around it. So
When we scheduled out science, I figured we wrote it out on the days that we have it, but I know that that's going to have to shift based on when we have map testing.
But I've
So-
told Linda that.
But I think we also built that in, didn't
All-
we?
I don't
She
know. I'll
built
look
in-
on there.
she
I'm
built
just
in
I'm
some
gonna
days
type
in
district
there.
assessment
Yeah.
I don't
she-
think it'll matter, Linda.
assignment.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Because all 3 of my map testing sessions are at 1:30.
But they'll still have science. They'll have to take a science map test. So
Right,
they'll
but I'm
do
saying
the same
that
one
really won't affect her because I have my class in the afternoon.
day. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have to.
So are we
fly.
map testing our own kids?
Yes.
Just our
Yes.
homeroom kids?
That's how Hector and I are doing it. So we're gonna just I'll test all my homeroom for all their tests, and if let's say I'm testing their reading, I'm just gonna keep them and do reading in the morning, but I'm still gonna keep them for math and science in the afternoon.
Well,
So
could
you
that
won't
work?
switch
But
that day?
what-
Is that what you're
well,
saying?
why wouldn't you just wherever they land? That's who's going to take them to the computer.
Well,
lab
I think
test?
because we all have, I think it's just easier for us to manage our own kids on map because we have to log in and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
with
okay.
logins.
Pause and
But
Yeah.
did you look at your?
With what? I'm sorry.
And you can trade times. I don't care.
No,
I just
and
make
that's
sure everybody
that's
knows.
why
That
I'm
works
glad
too.
that I needed to ask that because in the past we usually just do whoever we had and did them.
But
So
like for us, I don't know that it's gonna affect you. Or-
We're just
I
gonna
have-
we're just
yes.
gonna switch.
No, that's
and-
fine. I'll look at that map testing later. I just need to know about the science district thing, and I'm ready for math.
Okay, so we'll look at the calendar and that's what we'll follow.
Can we
up.
move
need
this
to
into
pull-
our folder?
And
Do you
then
think?
as far as the science district and coming up, we'll pull whoever.
Okay.
But if you guys will, if you switch the date up from the 11th, just let us know, so we'll be,
No, those
No,
will
no.
stay.
those will stay.
Those
Okay.
will stay. We
Alright.
map those. I think.
Okay.
And
even
I'll
if
talk
I
with them
can't
on
do
the
my
other
class
ones.
that day, whoever that person is you're doing, you need to go ahead and do them.
Okay.
That's how I look at it, so that we're not messing y'all's all schedule up based off of us making a change at the very end.
Right.
And that's what I've told Felipe. I said, if we've already scheduled it, gave you that appointment thing on the here,
Pull 'em.
you go ahead and do them, and we'll deal with when we have them, so.
Okay. So this
Not y'all's
coming
fault that
unit,
we changed.
yeah, on math, it's a 2-week
Okay, let me go.
unit, and really we've lost one day already because of Monday. So this week we're doing geometry, and it's all pretty much just a
Pretty
review
fun.
of. Huh?
It's pretty fun.
Oh well, yeah. It's actually it's a lot of vocabulary, and it's a lot of looking at, you know, we Amy and I looked yesterday. Sometimes they give our kiddos like a list of attributes, and they have to do it because it's not all the time that they're going to give them a picture, and it's not all the time that they're going to have it in front of them. And so it's looking at, so like today's lesson is just going over like a point or a line or an intersect or a perpendicular, going over vocabulary. So this week's geometry, and it's attributes and properties. And then next week, because I have 3 TEKs that all go together, which is 5.8a, describe the key attributes of a coordinate plane, including perpendicular, number line, the axis, the intersect, the origin. 2 lines coincide with 0 in each number line. So it's pretty much they just need to know the coordinate grid. And then looking at the ordered pair, which I think this one should be pretty easy because we've already gone over the y equals x, you know, graphs. And so I think they should be able to understand like the x and the y, but being able to label and understand that the first number is the x, the second number is the y. And we use the whole thing of you go into the building and then you go up rather than go up and then in. And then 5.8b is describe the order of process, or describe the process for graphing ordered pairs of numbers in the first quadrant of a coordinate plane. So they're just going to have to describe that. And so it's pretty much the way how we graph it. You know, they have to move over the x and then move up the y.
Well, one of the things on graphing, when they were explaining it, one of the things that I read about was using the vocabulary that you have like in geometry, like parallel lines. Like, when, I know you're doing the whole in the building, and you know we talked to them about, you know, x comes before y.
Yeah.
By telling them that the x, when you're graphing the coordinate, it's parallel to the x-axis.
Okay.
That way you're using the vocabulary, and then if you're saying it, and then you're having, like, maybe do a sentence stem and say, what did you do first? This x is parallel to the x-axis.
Right.
And then they, you know, they can move their finger along it. That way they can remember parallel lines.
And
That's
on
good.
the,
And how would you draw in perpendicular? Would you draw in perpendicular? And that
We
would
could say the x or the y
And
and
then
the x
you
are
go
perpendicular.
Perpendicular?
Yeah.
You can draw the when you draw
I
the
like that.
lines, you can say they're perpendicular. Absolutely.
I
Because
like
this
that.
one is like graphing, and then they'll have to, they'll be able to, the next one is to graph in the first quadrant using real world problems. So if they're giving them like the y equals x, or the, sometimes they usually do like a map that'll show like the library is on this, you know, 5-4, and the pool is over here, and they have to give directions on how to, you know, move down. And it's usually like move down I think it's like, I've seen it 4 spaces and over to the right. So the kids even need to know directionality, like left and right, which surprising for some of ours, they struggle with that sometimes.
I was gonna jump in, I just wanna say something really quick, because unless we're gonna change this test hasn't been touched since
I know, I saw it
February of
yesterday.
2016.
I pulled it up
So the
yesterday.
district assessment. So I don't know if they're gonna change or not, but the way that they're describing the points on a graph is units along the x, units along the y. So that's the vocabulary that
That's
they're
what I was thinking, the
using.
units.
So if we have to teach them how to describe that and using words, we need to, I'm not saying just use this, but this is how they're gonna have to be able to read it.
Yeah.
Do they use directions too?
It
like
says,
north?
like the answer, this one's
Yes.
answer is
So almost
point
on the
H.
instructions they have.
It says like, which one is 7-3 or whatever. It says point H because you move 7 units along the x-axis and 3 units up the y-axis. So you have to do along and up. So that's just some vocabulary that we
Yeah,
might
that's-
want to
that's
make sure
exact-
that we are using making
exactly
them
what,
explain it.
making them explain and using x-axis, cause, and because on the T, when you go to, when you're reading through the whole thing, it'll say it that way, it'll say, when I graphed x as parallel to the x-axis, it's, this number is,
Look at number 8.
yeah, so.
Number 8 also has, it's also a coordinate group, but it's using fractions because they have units on the graph, and so they have 4 different units before they even get to the whole number 1, which means that first one is like 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, and the units like the stop K's at 3/4 and 7/4. So this one our kids had trouble with last year, and I don't know if they're gonna change it or not, or when if they're gonna change it, but
She didn't say at the sneak peek. Nobody said anything about it being changed
yeah.
at the
But
sneak
the other
peek,
one was
so.
changed kinda late too.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is that they're going through it a bit at a time, and they're probably going to change it, cause they've
Yeah.
changed, every grade level has had changes on
Okay.
that district assessment.
Well, the last one, district assessment, I used it to focus on our problems of the day and stuff, and it stayed pretty much, but they had it changed right as we got into the quarter.
Right,
So hopefully if they're gonna change
I-
it, they've already got it
yeah.
ready, they just
And I
haven't
looked at some
changed
for problem of the days, because this one, like this district assessment has things like the ordered pairs, it has a few questions on the geometry, and then it has, what is it, perimeter and area, and then it has the financial literacy piece.
Okay.
So that's quite a bit. But I think it's just having them look at, I know there was one time, and I'll have to share with you guys, I have a battleship game that I play with the kiddos, and so that one, I thought about that one yesterday when we were doing, like the language objective, because the students are having, like each team has to place their battleships on their grids, and they have to give each other, okay, 4, 5, and so they have to understand where 4 or 5 is and see if it's a hit or a.
I'll see if I find it, there's an app and a game.
Okay.
Where you play, it's kinda like Battleship. They
Okay.
have to find, to see how many they can get at someone.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a PowerPoint. So you go through the PowerPoint, each team has their battleship, and they have to put 4 different ships on them. They do, and that's what I thought yesterday, is they have to understand it.
But how are we doing it if it's a PowerPoint? I thought you
The
said we were gonna do
directions.
it by, the
The
directions.
directions are on a PowerPoint. So it tells them like your destroyer is 4, they have to actually go in and it's like 4 Ds. So they have to put 4 Ds. And they can put it diagonally or vertically or horizontally. Yeah. Or they have 4 different ships. Like one is only 2, like 2 S's. And so the kids have to say, oh, I got a hit. So it's really understanding if they have a hit, like they have to document all the, if I'm playing you, like if I told you 2-5, I have to write 2-5 on my paper so I know I'm not going to give you that ordered pair again, but then I have to document it on my sheet. So it's a lot of working back and forth.
Once you do it a whole group, you can put that in a center.
Yeah, it's really
And
fun.
then,
They really like it.
especially if you have them use that vocabulary or somehow have them record it.
Line one,
Mhm.
where they place their ship and use the vocabulary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really neat. And a lot of them have to talk about, oh, okay, I think it's going to be, try 1 unit up, because they've got a hit,
Yes,
so they're
that's
trying all around.
I would put the sentence stems, how many units up, I would
Yeah.
just located on this many units, west, east, north. One of the test questions last year on the STAR test was, the ordered pairs below represent the location of 4 people, so they have the 4 people with their coordinates, and they have, they do put the compass rose on there,
Oh,
west, and it says,
Mhm.
Paul is located at 7-7, based on this information, which statement is true? So
Oh,
he's
okay.
located 1 unit south and 2 units east from Nathan, so they have to kind of locate all of them.
Uh-huh.
So doing the units would be great, and then
Yeah.
going over the compass rose.
And I think it's also showing our kiddos, like if we give them something like that, that they do have to work it out. Because a lot of them just want to put whoever they're looking for and then go from there.
It's taking that extra step, because it's not, they're not having a hard time grading it or, finding out X or Y.
Yeah.
It's just really that, communicating what they know and why they're using it
Mm-hmm.
and, how to do it.
But those are for math, and we talked about science. Science, we're finishing up energy, and next week start on, right after our test, we'll start on Earth and space. And then social studies is getting into the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights.
Yeah, I have a copy of that book, that new book that we all got for our boxes for math.
I have one in my room.
No, I meant in
Okay.
here, I was looking for us to
The
have one in
engagement
here.
mathematics?
The new one, it has to do with getting for STAR, I mean, it's,
It's like a blue
No.
or purple book.
No,
It's
don't
big,
have
it's
We
that.
got
blue.
one for grade level. One
no,
for grade-
we all got it in our boxes.
Yeah, we all
What are you
got
talking
one.
about? The engaged math?
No,
No.
it's something else, it's like a review kind of.
But it's got some amazing questions, and
But
I
you
was
have
just
all the
looking,
copies.
yeah, I would,
Yeah.
okay, I was just looking to see if we had one in here, that I was gonna pull it out while we were talking about that.
Okay.
To see, because I was looking at it right before the break, thinking that we need to really maybe bring that in, even if we do it for a small group, or if we do it for, some of them to have for homework, and then come back to us in a small group with them.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm sorry,
How long do we have?
I was just
That's
thinking
okay.
on
We only
that
have
other
about
piece.
5 minutes. Any other questions?
I need to go get some books that I need to get them.
Everybody
I'm
good on
good.
our teaks that we're gonna go over?
That question that you were talking about, the one with the fractions in the test, that was also a question on the STAR, but they used halves. So
Oh, the order
that's-
pair,
They used half on the,
oh,
Okay.
I see, okay.
so,
Oh, I see 2.5. Yeah, this one that they have on the test has, let me see if I can pull it up again.
I need to scan my thingy, majingies.
So you see this one has like 1 is right here and 1. So like this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. And so really I'm gonna have them go through, and if this is 1, like sometimes they think this is 1 and then they get thrown off even though we've done fractions and they know that this is 1/4.
Yeah.
It still just throws them off.
it's that number line thing, like if you have them, every time they see a number line, circle their whole numbers, that way they know that's the whole.
I think because they don't think that we're gonna see a fraction in like a graphing
Right.
question, you know? But that's the only one, and then we get into,
Is there
stem and
a
leaf.
relationship in there, like which one shows the relationship, the table?
No, it just says the order pairs below represent the location of 4 stops on the bus route. Which stop is closest to the bus station? The location of the bus station is shown, so they're gonna have to graph all of these and see which one is closest.
Cause the only other one that they have is it's a scenario, that they buy, at the gift shop, they receive free stickers for every t-shirt they buy. The graph represents the relationship between X and the number of t-shirts customers buy, Y, and Y the number of stickers customers receive, and then they have to pick
Oh,
a
they have to
table
match the table.
that shows the relationship.
And that's the different teak. So like that's the one where. Oh, did I take it off
How many
already?
time slots did you have on the map, Gina?
3, and your times are the same as mine.
Yeah, that's this one. The
I've only
student is
found me
expected
two.
to graph in the first corner of the
Oh, there I am, right
coordinate
there.
plane ordered pairs of numbers arising from a mathematical or real world problems,
So we went down
including
from
those
4
generated
to
by the
3.
numbers in an input-output table,
Okay,
so.
You only need
Yes.
3.
Not with that time frame,
From this,
but we don't ever
Oh,
get finished
yeah.
in that short time, we
Yeah.
have short.
they give you 3,
And they have to figure out,
the last one,
okay.
so they could do a.
Math is what they don't
Yeah.
finish for me. Some of them won't be
Like I
able
could
to
see them
finish
doing like
that,
a,
but, okay.
a 90-degree.
I guess she
But
said we were
trying
doing
to-
that.
And I'm saying which one, like putting 2 points and then saying which one can make
I've
a
got
90
to
degree.
throw my
yeah.
things through the
So
scanner.
if I can get some with them.
Is that a timer?
No.
Alright, I think we're
I
done,
use
guys.
that Jeopardy timer. I'm gonna try to go throw my stuff in the, scan my test. Because I really need to go over some of that with my kiddos.
Alright, are we all good?
I'm good.
Russell, would you print off your district assessment bubble sheet
For
for signing?